Everyone says that the New York Jets have to go tackle at 13. What if we didn't?
Inside, and a beauty! Hall, let it free! Brees Hall inside the 10. He's gonna score!
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Talking Jets with Tigo. My name is Tigo, and today we're going to be talking about the offensive tackle position. I feel like as a Jets fan base, we get too honed in on certain draft strategies, and we kind of get this herd mentality when it comes to certain players. And I think a great example of that was last year. How many of us were pounding the table saying that the New York Jets don't draft corners this high, or Joe Douglas and the San Francisco 49ers don't draft corners this high. And then we took Sauce Gardner and got the Defensive Rookie of the Year at 4, who was, in my big board last year, the best player of the draft. I had him at number 1 over everybody. Or how many of us were ready and okay to take a wide receiver in the second round instead of taking the future offensive rookie at 10? How many of us didn't want Brees Hall, the guy who would have won the offensive rookie of the year if he didn't get hurt? We tend to hone in on these draft strategies and these draft ideologies and really get stuck in our ways. And I feel like a great example of this is going to be tackle at 13. There is a good to fair chance that the New York Jets are looking to trade out of 13. And if a team comes calling, we need to be able to pivot our draft strategy. If tackle at 13 isn't an option, who and where and when can the Jets tackle the tackle position in this draft? So let's eliminate the top 6 guys from the tackle class, the guys that can all go in the first round. Your Peter Skoronski, your Broderick Jones, your Anton Harrisons, your Paris Johnson Jr.'s, your DeJuan Jones and Darnell Wrights. And if you're curious, those are the rankings, at least for me, of the top 6 tackles in this class. So yeah. So let's say we're in the second round. We traded out of 13. We took the center in the first. We took John Michael Schmitz at 25 because the Giants came up for John Michael Schmitz, or not John Michael Schmitz, but Jackson Smith-Njigba or Zay Flowers or whatever it is. We took something else in the first round, and now we're targeting a tackle in the second round, in the third round, in the fourth round. Who are a couple of names that the New York Jets should keep an eye out for? And what are these guys' quick scouting profiles so that we can get familiar with guys that might be on the Jets this coming season? I think the biggest name that a lot of people are going to talk about as a second-round tackle that a lot of people are really a fan of right now is Matthew Bergeron out of Syracuse. He is a 6'5", 322-pound tackle, has played, a ton of reps and snaps at the left tackle position, and I also believe the right tackle position as well. I think he has like 2,500 snaps at both positions, and the biggest thing with him is that he's a very controlled and measured player, but he's not very nasty. And with my tackles, I want a guy who has a little bit of a bite. I feel like he almost lets, and this is good for him at college right now because he tends to win by playing like this, but he tends to let the defenders come to him, and then once they're here, he deals with them in here instead of going and getting the defender. And as a tackle, you would really love to see a little bit more violence in his game, and with his ability in there. But if we're getting a guy in the second round, you can definitely look at him and be like, you know what? This is a developmental tackle. This is a guy that we can bring on and hopefully doesn't have to play in year 1. But if he did, he wouldn't be that bad. Definitely needs to get stronger because he looks bigger than he actually plays. But Bergeron is a fantastic player. He's great when it comes to this, what I believe we would use, this wide zone run scheme and what he can do. He can deal with stunts and handing off defenders and doing all those things at a relatively high level. So keep an eye out for Bergeron because he might be a guy that we can get in the second round. Now we're going to talk about a guy that's slowly going to become a fan favorite, and he's one of my favorite tackles in this class, and that's Cody Mauch of North Dakota State. Now, for those of you who don't know, North Dakota State just had their pro day, I believe, yesterday, and the New York Jets offensive line coach was the one running the drills for the offensive linemen at North Dakota State. We got a first-hand look at Cody Mauch and his play. Now, before we start talking about Cody Mauch and the guy that I love this player, there's a couple of things that we do need to mention about him. One, I don't know if he's going to be able to play tackle at the next level. One of the things that really scares me about Cody Mauch is that when he went to North Dakota State, he was a 220-pound tight end, and then in 1 year put on 80 pounds to become a tackle. That's not an easy thing to do, like, at all, but that's what he did. He put on a ton of weight and is still new to the offensive line position. So he might be a player that might be better suited to bumping inside. And we saw him do this at the Senior Bowl. He played all 5 positions on the offensive line at the Senior Bowl. Both tackles, both guards, and center. But so if we're looking for a guy with a crap ton of positional versatility, he is definitely an option. Here's where I have some concerns. One, like I said, he's so new to the position, but he's also a relatively older prospect at 24 years old. But the thing that makes me feel confident in him is when you played your competition, did you dominate your competition? And that's absolutely what he did. Remember Max Mitchell last year? He went to Louisiana, and not like the big school, not LSU, the other Louisiana, the Ragin' Cajuns, and in the competition that he faced, he absolutely dominated. And when you look at a guy like Cody Mauch, you can say the same thing. In the competition that he faced, he absolutely dominated. You can only play the guy in front of you, and when he was playing the people in front of him, he was insane. He is a little bit light. He does need to put on more weight. The same kind of concerns that we had about Max Mitchell. But he also does have the short arm tag kind of put on him. We're going to have to see what he turns into, but he's definitely a guy to keep an eye on because he is a late second, early third kind of guy that you could definitely fall in love with and say, you know what, maybe he can overcome that ability, or you can take a Cody Mauch knowing that he's going to be your guard center at the next level, giving you the opportunity to play Elijah Vera Tucker. If something were to happen to one of your tackles, you can bump him, and then Cody Mauch can come in and play on the interior of the offensive line. He's a guy to keep an eye on. Another fan favorite that people have really fallen in love with is Blake Freeland, the offensive tackle from BYU. Now, Blake Freeland is an absolute mammoth of a human being at 6'8", 305 pounds, and he's definitely a guy that'll be available at the late second, early third, maybe even late third round pick as a tackle. And when we look at that same kind of grade that I gave with Cody Mauch, when you played your level of competition, did you dominate? And in this last year, he absolutely dominated. He has experience playing both the left and the right side of the offensive line, so he can definitely come in and be a swing tackle. And he has, he's super lanky, and it's exactly what you want with a tackle, right? Super long arms, super long legs, and does all of those things. Now, here's the problem is he doesn't necessarily have full control of his length. He kind of has poor body control, I guess is the best way to say it. And he's built a little bit weird. We're going to definitely need to see him get into an NFL gym. He's got to solidify his lower half, which is a little bit weak right now, so that his lower half can kind of match his upper body when it comes to pure strength. And at the NFL, where a bull rush is the move that you really have to win with or have to be able to contend with at the next level, he might have some problem there. But you get him in an NFL room, and in a year from now, let's say he puts on 15 pounds of muscle, specifically on his lower half, he can definitely play the position at a really high level. I'm just thinking about him at right tackle with Mekhi Becton at left tackle. You'd have two massive human beings at your tackle position, and you would just, you'd be hard pressed to be able to beat those guys, especially in the run game. If he can add weight to his lower half and really solidify that lower half and get to the next level in the run game effectively, watch out, because Blake Freeland could be a star, but because of all of those things, he's probably not going to get taken very early. And the other thing that we have to take into consideration with Blake Freeland is I don't even know what to say. Like I said, he's just not super strong, and that is a concern with your tackle position. And he's too big to bump inside, I guess is what I was trying to figure out how to say. Like, he has to play tackle because you can't have a 6'8" guard. It just doesn't compute. And so if he can't work out at he's a risk. That's what I'm trying to get at, and I don't know why I couldn't figure that out. The next guy that we're going to talk about is Tyler Steen, a guy that I'm not super high on, but a lot of people are. And I get why people are high on Tyler Steen. He has a ton of reps at the left tackle, and he has like 3,000 career snaps at tackle. And a lot of the concerns that I said about like Blake Freeland about not having like a solid lower half is the exact opposite with Steen. Steen has an insanely good lower half. But he's another one of those guys that just doesn't have tackle like size, like length, and he might have to bump inside to the next at the next level. And one of the other things is that he does have, because of his size, he tends to get real grabby in the passing game, and so he gets flagged on those things. He's an interesting player, and because again, he's overcompensating. He loses his balance. He does all these things. But having a guy with that much lower body strength and just, like I said, he's got two, just tree trunks of legs. He's another guy that might benefit from bumping inside and playing guard at the next level. But if you could see him being as a tackle and taking advantage of that lower half, especially in a wide zone run scheme where he can just move bodies and get to the second level, you might take advantage of him. I think he's more suited to be a right tackle at the next level than a left tackle, but he's a developmental guy that you're probably going to be able to get in the 4th round, top of the 5th, in that area. And then the last guy that we're going to talk about is going to be Carter Warren of the Pittsburgh Panthers. Now, here's the thing with Carter Warren. He's an older prospect coming off of an injury. I believe he had a torn meniscus last year, which limited him to only 4 games last year, I believe is what it was. That being said, if he didn't get hurt, I really, really believe that he would have been in the conversation of one of the top 6 tackles. Even as an older prospect, the guy can ball. The problem that comes with everything is his injury. Are you really going to take a older prospect who already has an injury concern, and we don't know if he's ready or he's going to be ready for camp? I haven't been able to find that information, but all of the tape and all of the things that are on there are absolutely phenomenal. I loved me watching Warren because he's got that ideal length, long arms, long legs, good base, good feet, good hips. He knows what to do. He gets low and all of those things. Needs to get better in the run game, with his upper body, because he plays a little high in the run game. But that's something that we can definitely work on. And that's one of those things where, what can he do at the next level? Can you take a guy who doesn't really have a history of injury, but did have an injury and is an older prospect? Can you take on a guy like that? Can you trust a guy like that? I don't know. But when you're looking at a guy that you might be able to get late in the draft, and I'm talking the 4th or the 5th round, this guy might end up being, the more I watch Carter Warren and the more I think about Carter Warren, he might end up being my Max Mitchell of this year's class, a guy that you can get late that I absolutely believe can play the position at a high enough level at the next, in the NFL. So keep an eye out on these guys. There are other names that you can look at, but this is the farthest I would wait, would be the 4th round. That's the farthest I would want to wait to go and get a tackle. Remember, we don't have a 3rd round pick right now, but Bergeron, Mock, Freeland, Steen, and Warren are the 5 guys that I wanted to talk about in today's video. Let me know about the tackles that you have fallen in love with. Should we continue and stick and pick at 13 no matter what? Should we pivot, trade out, and take a gamble on one of these tackles in the later parts of the round? What do you think? Let me know in the comment section below by leaving your sacrifice to the algorithm gods. And last but not least, go Jets.